Once again, that was long-winded. Thank you for listening. I apologize for that, but it's late, so I'll blame it on that.
Yeah, that was solid. You covered a lot of cool shit, man.
But I do want to
Yeah,
give
okay,
you
thank you.
Mr. Damage. Please talk to me.
Yeah,
Uh,
how you going? I'm Damage. Um,
yeah. Was it Damage or was it someone else? I don't know.
yeah, no, this is Damage speaking. Yeah, I was just scrolling through and listening to what you were saying, and it's like, hey, I can understand exactly what this fellow's saying, and that I perceive it very much the same way.
Sure. Yeah. Who's the guy that
And
asked the original question? If you not to discredit what you're saying, Damage. Thank you for that, and I agree. But who posed the original question?
It was South Pack,
Yeah,
I
that
believe.
was me because
Okay.
yeah, so that was me because man, I was actually like I it took me like 30 something years of my life, man. And you know what, man, I'm not really that kind of like literate inclined, but because of my journey, man, and how I took things and how my journey ended up the way it is. It's very, a lot of people will tell me, man, well, still, yeah, you need a lot of evidence to prove something that your faith is based upon. So, how my story kicked off, man, is, of course, Christianity was in my household. My grandmother, man, was the one that actually kind of somewhat kept that growing in my household. But quite very ironically, man, what the reason why I come off on the debates and I try to ask a lot of these intellectual humans, man, and trying to find out some information because it's like I kind of almost know my purpose in life, but it's hard for me to explain it when it comes to like me trying to explain it, and it's very biblical, man, and it's because it took me like 30 something years, man. I was running around like a dog chasing his tail. You know, I wasn't very a good kid, but I was a very, you can say, man, I was a kind of somewhat the black sheep. So when I ended up finding out 30 years later in my life, man, that my mother was gonna abort me. She was gonna abort me, and I didn't even know this, man. And see, the reason why I'm explaining these things, and it might sound personal, but because I've came to my belief and my faith in Jesus, man, that I know that he has a big plan, and he has sometimes his plans is sometimes things that we can actually comprehend and think about, but I could never tell, man. But I just know because it's experiences that I've actually went through. So when I say that my mother sat me down and she said that I was gonna abort you, I just couldn't do it, and I didn't know what it was, but I felt such presence. It was like something was stopping me. And so when she said that she couldn't, then I came about. So mind you, at this whole time being a kid growing up, my whole consciousness within the spirit and how my faith is within God, it hasn't been established and it hasn't been, what I'm saying, the where it's at. But like I know the word of God, and I know, what I'm saying, that when we speak of a higher power and whatnot, all these ancient texts and all these biblical books and things, and all these religions, all these sub religions and denomination, they all have the same concept of actually what I'm saying, referring to such thing as a spiritual, I guess, elevation of a spirit that they all look at. So for me, it's like, man, I I because of the things that happened in my life and how my journey took, like I said before, man, it established a foundation between my belief towards Jesus, man. And there's times I might nail it, and there's times where I can actually somewhat explain it, but things such as discernment. When we look at discernment, in the logic sense of science, they say these are your subconscious, this is your conscience, and whatnot, right? I just never was led to like trying to go outside and read other books or read any other text besides the Bible. I was literally raised up on the Bible. But
Mm.
then later on, then I came to find out that the world itself, it has a very tricky, it's very parallel, the world that we're in, according to the world that we're in, it's very parallel to the spirit sense of God's, what I'm saying, divine world and his plans.
Talking about the Bible
And so
prophecy and things like that, right?
yeah, and
Yeah, yeah.
so so I got to a point to where now in my life, man, like it's something strange, man, because like I don't I started. So when like this one person was asking me on the live, she was like, when did you notice all these changes? And like, when did you notice? Because it might be you were spiritually awakened. That might have been the beginning of your spiritual awakening. And I say, I actually started going through this, man, when I was 32. Right now I'm 39. So when I started noticing, man, that I just didn't like everything around me, like just didn't it didn't serve my spirit. Like it was just very annoying. A lot of things, man. Like I started losing interest in things that I used to love. And they say, well, these are the experiences going to cause you somewhat of a trauma. You're going to be depressed. You're going to be in a kind of a state of mind where you just that's where it's going to have you at. But when I entirely look at my life and all the things that's happened, I just feel like all these things happen for a reason. And so when COVID came, I was on another podcast, and these people were talking about how COVID was when it's like a conspiracy, but I don't know if it's true. They say that COVID happened, and this was how the government was trying to identify such spiritual believers. You know what I'm saying? In the global aspects of humanity. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason why they wanted to do that, and prophecy actually, there's a lot of, prophetic evidence of like the world trying to understand God's world. So now, when I say things such as testimonies and things people go through, I mean, could these be facts of what God is literally trying to teach in His Word?